News like this makes me think that there's a huge problem over at Lucasfilm, because apparently Disney, at least since they've bought Lucasfilm, has a bad habit of announcing projects and then not following through with it for some way, shape, or form. But let's check out this article right now from Game Rant. So one new Star Wars movie looks less likely after a funny update from its director. One Star Wars movie seems less likely to happen after an update, proving even a Marvel director can't get the gears turning on a new project. So scrolling down into the article right now, it's talking about Taika Waititi specifically, who is the director of Thor Love and Thunder, Thor Ragnarok, and then kind of away from the whole MCU area. He did Jojo Rabbit, What We Do in the Shadows, which is an earlier project of his that I think is underrated, because I mean that the movie is fantastic. My favorite one of his, but that's just my personal opinion. But yeah, scrolling down into it, he was at Toronto International Film Festivals, and here's what it says. In the past, Waititi confessed he was struggling with the new Star Wars feature. More recently, at Toronto International Film Festival, he further gave a hint at what stage he is at. As reported by Variety, Waititi was at the event honoring Stranger Things producer Sean Levy and figured he would be a great pick for a Star Wars feature. Unlike me, let's hope he manages to finish a script for that, Waititi said. And yeah, that kind of got laughter, and people took that as a joke in his sort of style and things like that. And it's like, yeah, that could be a joke, but I mean, at the same time, I do think it is kind of indicative of what we have seen coming out of Lucasfilm, because they make these big announcements. I mean, they got the showrunners for Game of Thrones. They announced that they're doing a Star Wars project. I mean, that got canceled, I believe. You have this other news right here. Kevin Feige, Patty Jenkins, they were given Star Wars projects, and those were shelved. And now this probably just is another one of those, which I think is a reason why Taika Waititi is not really taking the script writing phase of it seriously, is because he knows that it's not going to happen, or he doesn't think it's going to happen, because there's two reasons that Disney announces stuff. I mean, you have to think when they make an announcement like we're bringing on this person to do a Star Wars project, like, well, what are we talking about here? Did you have a meeting with them and said like, oh yeah, this will be great to do? It's like if you and your friends got together and say like, yeah, we should totally go to this place. It's like, yeah, we're going to do that one day. And that's it, versus, okay, we're making our active plans and we're getting reservations and stuff like that. I mean, and that's what we need to think about. Like when Disney announces a Star Wars project with Taika Waititi, they say he's going to be directing something like that and writing it. And then he says like years later, like, yeah, I haven't even written the script yet for it. It's like, so you're not taking this seriously. So is Disney and Lucasfilm not taking it seriously either? I mean, that's at least the impression I'm getting. And that's the impression it seems like with a lot of these announcements. I mean, if you actually look back, they've pretty much announced more things and canceled them than they've actually produced, because they like to make announcements because it makes it seem like they're doing a lot of stuff and it helps spur shareholders to invest in the company. But I mean, when they cancel stuff like this, I mean, it really is a bad look for them, because it shows that or at least it indicates that they don't know what's going on. But there's one reason I think that they could have more or less made a little bit more serious on the past and less serious now. And that's kind of like new news, because, yeah, I mean, even though Taika Waititi has actually done well when he's made movies for Marvel, I mean, other movies like Jojo Rabbit, I mean, that did pretty well too. But I mean, a lot of his other movies aren't that great. And his latest one that just came out is the lowest rated one on Rotten Tomatoes for his. So, I mean, that's a record for his career. And that one's kind of doing the festival circuit right now. And according to this article, it has a 54% on Rotten Tomatoes. So not the greatest score for him. And also, if you look at his work with Marvel, I mean, Thor Ragnarok did fantastic, but then you got Thor Love and Thunder came out. And not only was that more disappointing amongst audience scores, but also it didn't make nearly as much money. I mean, this article from Collider says it had the biggest drop or second week drop in any Thor movie. And while the movie still made money, the budget of it was so high. I mean, I think it just made a little bit. I mean, so it was just kind of like it was a success, as in it made some money at the box office. But I mean, expecting like a Marvel movie with one of their main leads for the whole MCU, and it was just kind of like a moderate success with audience scores basically just saying it's a meh. I mean, it could be an indicator that Disney is kind of done with him right now, and also that makes sense considering Disney CEO Bob Iger has made statements in the past saying that he wants to cut back on Marvel and Star Wars content because they've just been oversaturating the market. And with the announcements that they've been doing with Star Wars in the past, and Taika Waititi being one of them, I think they're looking at their spreadsheets and figuring like, well, we got all these things coming out. His project is less important, so maybe we don't really need to do anything like that. And I think it would be or it would make sense in the future if they had probably just make an announcement that it's being shelved indefinitely. I mean, like, it seems like Taika Waititi doesn't really care about it in any way, so maybe that would be the best bet for them, and to try to focus on other things that they think might be more profitable. I mean, we got the Lando series, which is supposed to be a movie now, and I made a video about it where I think like they can make that work and can be profitable with that, as long as they do it right, they tell a good story, and they don't give it as much, or they don't spend as much money on that as they would if they would have made it a show. But that was just my personal opinion on the matter. But let me know what you think in the comment section below. Do you think this is just an offhand comment from Taika Waititi, or do you think it's probably a good indicator that it's gonna not happen? Because that's my personal opinion, because they are trying to cut costs at Disney and Lucasfilm, so that makes the most sense. But I don't know, I could be wrong about this. But if you like this video, make sure you click that like button, share the video, and subscribe to the channel if you want to stay up to date with the latest news. Thank you.